Hi everyone, my name is Harriet and today I'm going to show you how to use one of these, a Gua Sha. You may have one of these lurking in the back corner of a drawer if you got one for Christmas one year and had no idea how to use it. So today I'm going to teach you how to actually use this thing. If you don't have a Gua Sha tool, don't worry, you can simply use a jam jar lid or a spoon will literally do the exact same thing. So before we get into the sequence, I thought I would just give you a little bit of an overview on the history of a Gua Sha tool. In recent years, or over this year, they've seen a huge rise in popularity and they are still considered a little bit bougie, a little bit niche, and if you know of Gwyneth Paltrow and her lifestyle brand Goop, a little bit goopy. But actually the Gua Sha tool comes from a really humble place of medicine. So the Gua Sha translates literally into scraping tool. So it doesn't seem quite so exciting once you know what that means. And there's a lot of documentation that the Gua Sha tool was actually used predominantly as a resuscitation tool. So back kind of in the dynasties of many years ago, oftentimes people that were working in the fields would faint through sunstroke, dehydration, or lack of feeding. And the Gua Sha tool, which back in those days was probably a rock or a little bit of bone or cutlery, was used to scrape on the soles of their feet really ferociously until they resuscitated. So it doesn't seem quite as pleasant now. And this tool has been used ever since in traditional Chinese medicine as a way of reviving people or also for getting things out of the body. It's especially used cold and flu season, and you may have seen across the internet pictures of people with scraping marks up their back, and this is usually a sign that a Gua Sha tool is being used to bring out an infection, bring out a virus, and it's usually used around the back body, around the area of the lungs, and it's used to bring any problem up and out of the body. It's also used quite a lot and still is used today as a way of getting musculoskeletal tension out. But again, it's not used with lovely facial oil and lovely gentle moves. It is used to scrape tension out of the body. So this tool actually has quite brutal origins. And I've been trying to work out, I've tried to do some research about how it suddenly became this beautiful beauty tool. And from what I can find out, it was a real happy accident that one day an acupuncturist used a Gua Sha on someone's face and they thought, oh geez, that looks much better than it did. And it has kind of filtered down through over the years to become something that is really synonymous with a beauty regimen. You'll notice also that the Gua Sha tools are usually made from jade, and there is quite a deep cultural significance to that. So in Taoist culture, jade was a real precious stone. It was used in loads of ceremonies, so it is used quite a lot in weddings as a symbol of love and life and beauty. And it was used a lot in ceremonies around death and the way that bodies were preserved or shown to loved ones as a way of trying to keep onto the essence of being human. So the Taoists used to powder jade and they used to make it into beauty elixirs, and they believed that by using the Gua Sha tool in jade, scraping it across the face, that would offer up some energetic exchange to keep the tool user beautiful. Jade also has a cultural relationship to the energy of the kidneys and is used a lot as a healing stone for the kidneys. And why the energy of the kidneys is so important in our beauty regimen is in Chinese medicine, the kidneys are believed to govern everything that falls out or falls off. So the kidney is responsible to lustrous hair, brilliant white and fixed in the gums teeth. It governs our metabolism, our bone marrow, our ability to have energy and youthful vitality. So by using a jade tool, you're getting that extra little bit of love and a little bit of extra beauty into the body. So let's start using this, shall we? You're going to need a product, whether that is your favorite moisturizer, or if you don't have a moisturizer that you particularly like, you could always use coconut oil or even olive oil. Now, you really don't need a lot. We're just going to put enough onto the face so that it's going to reduce the friction. So unlike how they used to use it, we don't want big drag marks over our face. So just warm up your oil. I want you to pop it over the face, up over your forehead and around the back of the neck. So we're going to be doing a little bit of release into the neck. Now, this is first of all perfect if you are somebody that struggles with neck tension. Also, if you're feeling a little bit under the weather, you'll know that we've got quite a lot of lymph nodes around the neck. So they're obviously onto something back in the day. By using your Gua Sha tool to push up the neck, again, you're using the tool to bring any infection, any allergy up and out in the body. So let's start by just starting to rub the tool up the neck. And you'll notice if you do have a lot of tension that you're going to go quite red. So you can see here, and it is believed, or it is the fact, that we're starting to bring blood flow. We're starting to actually create little teeny tiny micro traumas into the flesh, which is going to surge the body into defense, blood flow, maybe a little bit of extra collagen production. I don't think that's been scientifically proven, but definitely micro trauma and healing is going to that place. Let's change sides so we don't want to keep going in the same place. Perfect, and just go all around the back of the neck. And you can give yourself a little bit of a neck stretch here, so drop the chin down towards the chest and all the way behind. Going careful if you're on your spine, not just go too hard. Now, if you are using a Gua Sha, usually they're made with a little bit of a nick, and you can use this to start getting into the neck a bit more. So we're going to find this big piece of tissue here called your sternocleidomastoid, and we're going to use that little V of the Gua Sha up. So quite simply, this is usually, in most people, a very tight piece of tissue. So if you're tight here, it might be quite sore, so go slow and go gently. And sometimes it can actually cause you to gag a little bit if it's super duper tight here. So it will get more relaxing, this routine, I promise. Let's take it to the other side. So find that big piece of tissue and up you go against it. Great. So now let's take that little nick of the tool, and I want you to take it up the back of your neck. So now you're coming to the vertebrae of your neck. You're going to push up a couple of times. Again, just go slow, especially if you've not touched this part of your body before and it's feeling a little bit alien. Once you get to the back of your skull, you're going to hit something which is called your occiput. So as soon as you find that kind of bulbous ridge in the head, I want you to angle the Gua Sha tool about 45 degrees and then push into the back of the head. Now, if you've got a tight neck, this is quite a lot, but if you use the weight of your head, you can actually wiggle the tool into all of that tight tissue. So the action is simply that or that, whichever you prefer. I'm a fan of a side to side wiggle, or you could use your head to move it. Go for a couple more of those. Perfect. All right, let's start to come to the face. So we're going to repeat this sequence over and over and over and over again, and we're just going to go in lines up the face. So the action here is closer to God. We want to use the tool to lift and firm the face. So the first line that we're going to take is across the angle of the jaw, and do try and get as much as your face in here. So we'll come from the middle of the chin, and I want you to pull the tool across the face. So you can use your other hand as a way of guiding the flesh or you could just stick to one hand. Find what you like, find what you prefer, and get stuck in. Now, as we start to move along the angle of the jaw, around here, most people are going to find a little web of muscular tension. Now, this is usually, if you're a jaw clenching person, you're going to have quite a lot of tension. So as you're taking the Gua Sha tool over that part of your face, I want you to be really conscious that you're letting your teeth soften away from one another. So you're not reinforcing that tension, but you're using this as an opportunity to unprogram some of that tension. Also, what is interesting is around this lump of tension is actually an acupuncture point. This is a stomach point called stomach 7, which is used a lot in cosmetic acupuncture because it is full of qi, energy, and blood. So if you're feeling a little bit pasty or feeling knackered and you want some fresh, youthful, rosy cheeks, this is the place that you want to hit. So with that knowledge, go ahead and get stuck in a little bit more. The next line that we're going to take is going to be from the corner of the mouth across the cheek towards the earlobe. So we're just moving really slowly and gradually up the face. Again, you can use the Gua Sha, just rubbing it back, or you can use your other hand to set the track of where it's going to go and give yourself a little bit more lift. As you're doing this, be careful that we're not getting too tight into our shoulders. You're letting them go and everything becomes quite meditative, like a Tai Chi of the hands moving across the face. Let's go another step higher. So this time you're going to come underneath the nose. So you can even come towards the philtrum and then move underneath your cheekbone. But I do want you to take the Gua Sha tool all the way across the jaw. Again, if you're a tight-jawed person, this part of the face might be quite sensitive. So go slow. If you're concerned about wrinkling around the mouth, you could use your tool up and around the lip before you come into this swoop. Perfect. Let's go one step higher now. So we're going to come from the corner of the nose across the cheekbone. And as we start to get into the bigger part of the face, you can play around with how you're using your tool. And sometimes they're made a little bit like a shark fin. So if you turn the fin down and you've got the curve end, you can swoop across the cheek and get a little bit more of the face involved and take it right up to the angle of the temporomandibular joint here. As you can see in my face, I'm getting quite rosy here. So it's just a proof that this tool really does start to stimulate blood flow. Keep moving across and let's go one step higher. So this time we're going to come from the middle of the nose and sweep across the cheekbone. So we sweep it across. You can use the weight of your head to go a little bit deeper here. So the more you can almost rest your head against the tool, the deeper the treatment. If this is your first time using it, go easy. Don't put yourself off. Also, if you're somebody that struggles with allergies, around this part of the face is usually where we start to feel hay fever, where we start to feel congested. So you can use the tool here to start to move some fluid, move some lymph, move any energetic stagnation around the sinuses up and out of the face. If you have a tool with a little bit of a nick, you could also take that across your cheekbone now. And again, you can either just use the tool in isolation or you can use the other hand to guide it. It feels a little bit more luxurious when you do that, I think. And if when you get in towards your hairline, you'd like something else to play around with, you can actually use the tool and just wiggle it up into the hairline. And some people really enjoy that sensation. If you like a deeper pressure, you can lean your head into it. Perfect. So now we're around the crow's feet area. First of all, I'd like to say that crow's feet in Chinese face reading are a sign that you've laughed a lot. So I think that's a very beautiful thing. But if they do irritate you, here we're simply going to smooth out the area. So just ironing out the wrinkle. Then if there's one that particularly offends you, you can work on it a little bit more. Use the edge of your tool to keep ironing it out. So you're running the edge of the tool along the wrinkle. And then to confuse the muscle fibers, you're going to doodle some circles. So just a squiggly, wiggly line, zigzags, whatever feels appropriate for you. And fingers crossed, that feels like it's reduced the look of them a little bit. Now we'll go up onto the forehead. So you can either take your tool up, and that is quite a nice way, especially releasing tension around the forehead, or you can smooth across. Also, if you want to use the technique we've just applied to crow's feet onto any forehead lines that irritate you, first of all, you just iron them out. You isolate the one you want to work on. So you take it across, then squiggly, wiggly lines. Again, in Chinese face reading, the lines on our forehead are supposed to be the lessons learnt in our 20s. So wear them as a badge of honour. Perfect, let's give it a little bit more push up, and now let's come and repeat everything to the second side. At this point, I'd just like you to have a look at your face. Again, you can notice in mine straight off the back, how much more plump and lifted and rosy that side of the face is compared to the other one. So let's take it all again. We're going to come onto the angle of the jaw. We start to take those swoops. And because we know where we're going now, we can work a little bit quicker. Again, don't be afraid of getting the chin involved here. Around the angle of the jaw here, you're going to start to knit into a little bit more tension. That is the acupressure point stomach 7, full of chi and blood. So with that knowledge, with the hope that it's going to make us look rosy and youthful, dig in a little bit more. And we take it one step higher. So now we're coming from the corner of the mouth up towards the ear. So really using the tool and perhaps your other hand to keep reaffirming the message of the face, smoothing and lifting. And let's take it one step higher. So if you'd like to come towards the philtrum, you can, and take it across, or just kind of from the middle of the nose and the lip. So as you're taking those swoops, do get it all the way back towards the ear. Again, if there are lines around the mouth that you're not too keen on, you can either rub up and down or take some of those squiggly wiggly ironing out technique that we just found. Perfect, let's go one step higher now. So we're coming from the corner of the nose along the cheekbone. And as we get into the bigger part of the face, you can play around with which side of the tool you're using. If you've got one that looks like a shark fin, turn it down, and you want to move the curved end towards the scalp. If you have a tool with a little nick in it, you're going to come across your cheekbone now. If you liked that, or if you preferred, you can keep going with those swoops across. And again, as we start to move into the space around the sinuses, around the nose, you can start to move any stagnation and hopefully breathe a little bit easier. As we find ourselves around the cheekbone, you're also starting to move lymph from underneath the eyes. If you're feeling a little bit puffy, this is a really nice place just to pay a little bit more attention to. If you're using the nick of your Gua Sha against the face, you can give it some wiggles and then go up into the hairline. That's quite a nice thing to do. Great, crow's feet time. So you know the technique now. First of all, we're just gonna iron out the wrinkle, smooth the skin, It's also quite nice if you do ever struggle with tension around the temples. This area can be quite sensitive, so go slow. Then you find the offending line, you smooth it out, iron it out, and we take those circles. And that's simply just to unprogram the habitual way that the face is contracting. And that is all a wrinkle is. It's a habit of facial contraction. So you use those squiggly lines just to undo some of that. Perfect, then up we go to the forehead. So we could either go up, or you can smooth across, whichever you prefer. And if there is an offending line that you would like to hit a little bit, most often than not, people get slightly concerned with these lines here, so you can use the tool there. Get stuck in, give it some squiggly wigglies. Lovely, let's just push up a little bit more. Final little push across the cheekbone, across the cheekbone, across the angle of the jaw, across the angle of the jaw. Get rid of your tool. Create a little bit of heat in your hands and just smoothing over the skin. So again, the action that we want to imprint on the face is closer to God. So lifting everything up, smoothing it out. Take a quick look at yourself. Just notice all that rosy glow that you've got. And there you go. Nice little gua sha routine sorted.